Well, hello, friends. Hey, it's Jamie here with Reece Homes, and I hope you're enjoying the first days of autumn. We had our first rain in some time now. And I just wanted to first of all start off with saying thank you to everybody who joined us at the barbecue at the pumpkin patch here this past Sunday. We had more than 400 people who joined us for a beautiful sunny day, great food, and just a really memorable time. So thank you, everybody who showed up, and everybody who weren't able to make it. We hope to see you next year, and we hope to see you at our upcoming events here throughout the holidays. All right, so let's talk about the latest in the market. King County median home price finished out September at $790,000. This was 1.25% down from August and 5.3% up from last year. This is better than a lot of the national numbers that we're hearing, showing that we still have some strength in our current market. And that's even stronger in Snohomish County, where it finished out at $695,000 in September, and that was up by 4.04% from August, right? So despite all the things that are going on right now, was up by 4%, right? And up by almost 7% from this time last year. Now, right now, I know that there's a lot of headlines about the fact that we're seeing month over month decline in prices. And certainly that is notable, but that isn't unusual for our market or for any market out there, because generally, median home price will peak during the height of the selling season, which is somewhere between June and August of every year. And median home price, keep in mind, if there's 100 homes that sell, the median number is the sale price of the 50th home that sold, right? So it's a statistical fact that's in there, but that fact can kind of move around depending on the balance of homes that are brought to market. And it just so happens that there tends to be more high-priced homes that come to market later in the year or in the middle of the year. But on the margins of the bell curve, there are tend to be that price skews a little bit lower, and we can see that over the last 5 to 6 years. So if we take the peak median home price versus the lowest price, including the month of January following that peak, right? We can see in 2022 thus far, we're down by about 10% in King County, okay? In 2021, peak to trough was 7.69%. In 2020, it was 6% lower, so peak to trough was 6% lower. In 2019, it was 7.5%. In 2018, it actually went down 12%, and in 2017, it went down almost 6%. Now, what I can tell you is if you were a buyer in this market and you had the misfortune of being a buyer in June or July and you were still trying to buy in November, December, or January, you did not see home prices decline by 7, 8, 12% during any of these years. The like for like home prices in neighborhoods continued to rise at a high pace, right? So this is partly just statistical balance of homes that are shifting during that median sale price, which is why we like to look at the more balanced number of year over year appreciation, right? So let's keep moving. So what does this mean? Despite the massive headwinds that we're facing, and they are massive, interest rates are up hugely. They're double, if not more, from where they were last year at this time, right? Interest rates are certainly up, and uncertainty about the economic situation throughout the world is definitely heightened right now. But despite these massive headwinds, when you look at the numbers in our area, we're relatively normal. Now, does that mean that I'm optimistic about price growth and all of that for the future? No, we've got a lot of headwinds to work through, but it's not quite as profoundly negative as some of the news out there would point to, because they're taking a very focused, myopic look and not keeping that broader picture, right? The one thing that we are seeing in all of this is building demand, right? What we're finding right now is a number of people are putting their plans on hold because of uncertainty. They haven't canceled their plans. Their needs for a bigger home or a smaller home or wanting to be closer to family or a job or things like that, they haven't fundamentally changed. So overall, we're starting to see this slowly building demand. Now let's talk about what that means. That's actually a time of opportunity both right now and in the future, but let's talk more about that. And to understand that, we want to look at the fundamentals of the housing market. And they're based upon a few key factors: population, employment, income, building starts, how many homes are being built, right? So let's look at population. Best way to measure this dynamically, right? We can't wait for the census every 10 years, right? So the best way to measure this by dynamically that I've found is the Washington State Department of Licensing publishing their new driver's licenses issued to people from out of state. And in August, that rose 5.7% over what it was in 2021. And year to date, it's up almost 8% versus what it was in 2021. So we're continuing to see growth in people moving to the area, right? And if we know that more people are moving to the area, that's going to put more pressure on demand. And we can see that most of the people, the majority of people are moving from California, Oregon, Texas, Arizona, and Idaho. Right, those are the top 5 in-migration states that people are coming from. Now the question is next, can those people get jobs? And what we know, unemployment peaked at 16.8%, slightly higher than the national average back during the height of COVID. That's dropped hugely down to 3.7%, which is matching the national average. So we've got incredibly low unemployment. Most people who want jobs are absolutely getting them. Right? We also know that wages have increased 7.5% in 2021. They're increasing faster in our area than they are in the nation, and they're higher in our area than they are in the nation. This doesn't necessarily make homes affordable, but it does mean that people have money to purchase housing, maybe not what they want, but they do have the ability to rent and purchase housing. Okay? Now, building activity. Given that migration of the people in here, are we building enough homes to meet their needs? And what we know in 2021, we've got some lagging data here, but what we know in 2021 is that there were 27,000 permits for residential property, and that accounted for 56,000, almost 57,000 housing units. So of course there was some multifamily housing that was built into there, a lot of single family housing, but some multifamily units in there as well. Now, how do we contrast that, the building versus the population? Because that's supply versus demand, right? So we look at that and we say 56,000 housing units, 57,000 housing units were permitted and built or started to be built in 2021, but we had 170,000 new drivers come to our state. Right. Well, that means if we average about 2.25 drivers per household, which is probably on the conservative side, the real number is closer to most likely 1.75, but we'll just say 2.25 drivers per household. That means that we need 75,000, almost 78,000 housing units just to accommodate all of those new folks who've come to our state, right? That leaves a deficit of about 19,000 housing units, right? So you look at that and you think, well, gosh, we certainly haven't been building enough, and this deficit has been very common over the last 10 years, right? Actually, over the last 15, we'd have to go back to, I believe it was 2003 or 2004, to where we built more housing units than what we had in terms of immigration. So what's next? What does all this mean? Well, we expect the market will continue to soften until one or more of the following 3 things happen. Inflation begins to decline. It's important that we emphasize the word begins. I don't think that people are just going to wait until we get back down to 4% or 2% inflation, right? I think the moment that we start to see inflation decline for 2 or 3 months, that's when people are going to feel confident again, right? And they're going to start taking action again. Interest rates. When they start to decline, you're going to see people taking action again. They're going to feel more confident. And when uncertainty declines, and certainly uncertainty encompasses inflation and interest rates, but there's also other factors there. People might have uncertainty when they're at their jobs of, okay, is the company expanding? Is it contracting? When they start to feel more certainty at their company, they're going to most likely want to take the actions that they've been putting on hold. What does that mean? Well, most likely we're going to see a rush to buy and sell again, right? You're going to see people who've been really wanting to move for 6, 12, 18, 24 months begin to move again. And what does that mean for you right now if you're one of those folks, right? Especially if you're one of the folks who's been trying to move for the last 24 months and maybe has been on the outside looking in because you need to buy contingent. You got a home to sell and you got to sell that one before you buy the next, and sellers just weren't looking at your contingent offer. Or you had a smaller down payment, or there were other things that just didn't make you as competitive in a competitive competitive market, over the last 6 or 12 or 18 months. Well, this is really kind of your time for opportunity. Inventory has been rising, right? And sellers are beginning to look at reducing prices, doing inspections after they get into contract, kind of like the old days, right? And even we've had a number of people who've had success at buying contingent, being able to go and approach a seller who's on the market after 10, 14, 20 days and saying, hey, will you work with me while I sell my home, right? So there's a much more flexibility in today's market. Is there certainly more uncertainty? Absolutely, right? But there's a cost to doing just about anything, convenience or money, right? So for some folks who have a degree of certainty of their income and are looking at wanting to make a move, this could be a really wonderful opportunity. And we can explore that with you more if this sounds interesting to you. And if it does, or you've got questions about the statistics, you've got questions about the market, anything like that, feel free to give us a call. Send us an email, send us a text, heck, send us a carrier pigeon, or just drop by the office. We'd love to see you. Thanks for watching here. Hope you and your family are well, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.